Hi everyone. Welcome back to part 2 of we have less than 4 years left until probation ends. Um, okay, where I left off, I wanted to mention that Jesus said, as in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. And what he was referring to is that we are like the days of Noah. This earth is full of violence. And first, I want to say that according to Ephesians 6, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and high powers. I'll leave that link to the scripture verse. But there is going to be one battle, and one battle only, and it's not between any races, creeds, nationalities, or whatever groups. It's one battle. It is the battle between the good, which is the righteous, and the evil, which are the wicked, that are doing all these things on the earth. Because they're wanting to bring in a one world order, and they're Antichrist, which would be the devil incarnate, which we will be indwelled by Satan himself. And this article I have here, basically I want to say, made a comment about it. It's just an example of the kinds of violence that are taking place in our main cities right now. And remember I mentioned in the first video to get out of the cities and to try to go into a safe place, a safe harbor someplace. Now, the Bible mentions, places like the mountains, the dens, and the strongholds. Anywhere where there's not a large major population, because they are going to plan to nuke those cities. And that's where I wanted to talk about ISIS, which is an Islamic terrorist network, and their connection with Al Qaeda, because they come up mention with the word Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda is just like a code name, a code word used by the Mossad and the CIA, and that's for real. And because you can do some research and study and find that. Because I had mentioned it before in past videos. Also, let's see. Okay, I didn't have an official list on the major cities that are targeted for nuclear attack. I also was wanting to find that article about the leader who started ISIS and what he said about meeting the government. He's talking about Obama, which Obama mentioned too, that he was looking for New York City to be destroyed, to be nuked. So basically he was saying that he was wanting it to be nuked. And the leader of ISIS made a threat that he would meet them in New York City. So some of the nukes that they do have hidden, they're in not just New York City, but other major cities in this country. So they have it all set up. With some of the cities that were mentioned in the prophecy that I had given you earlier about the doom prophecy, some of these cities that will be nuked, because if you don't go to these cities now, you will be forced to. Because David Wilkerson, I don't know if you remember who he was. He had passed away back in 2009. And before he died, he made a prophecy about what would happen, what was going to become of this country and the world. Said he saw over 1,000 fires in New York City alone. So if you don't leave, you're going to be burned out. And this is just a warning, saying a warning about David Wilkerson's prophecy and Duneman prophecy. Also, the other cities that would be affected would be Los Angeles, California, San Francisco, California, Miami, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, and Houston, Texas. And there are other large cities as well. Boston, a few of those up in the New England states would be targeted. Denver, Colorado, I believe that was one. Yeah, there's at least 20 or more that was targeted. God calls them Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember when they were trying to pass the same-sex marriage laws in the states? Well, once they passed in those states, God has condemned that city. And that's what I'm telling you all, to leave the cities. And God is saying, leave the churches because they're all corrupt. All they preach anymore is homosexuality, abortion, adultery, divorce, lots of sexual sins, and idolatry. You also hear in the news anymore is that the world calls for peace when there is no peace. When they say this, that we have peace. For example, Obama gave a recent speech that it had been the most peaceful time that he knew of. And Obama is a liar. Because when they do say peace and safety, sudden destruction shall come upon them, and they shall not escape. America is being destroyed from within, which was started by the communists, and Obama is one of them. How it will start out is that some of the people will start fighting against the government. Remember what I had told you before about the Bundy family in Nevada. And it will grow from there. The government is dealing with upheaval, internally because of those behind the Obama administration and those that control it. And I'm talking about the Zionists. From the oceans, from the north, south, east, and west, they will attack America. Russia has nuclear subs off the coast of Florida. Also, that these countries that will attack are Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and possibly China and another country may be also involved. When I said that get out of the churches and they're all corrupt, many follow false teachers and prophets on TV evangelists. Get away from them because they're only leading you to the road to hell. Get out of debt. Stop going to doctors because they're only feeding you poison anyway, and those poisonous vaccines to keep you complacent and stupid. Get rid of the TV and come to the God who created you and who loves you with all his heart, because he gave his only Son, Jesus Christ, to save you, and he shed his blood for you and bought you with a great price. America is at Mystery Babylon because it accepted all the nations of the world and their religions, such as Buddhism, the Devil Church, or Satanists, the Sodomite Church, and the Mormon Church, and all kinds of wickedness that America has received. America was once a Christian nation, and once we had never, instead of stopping it and stop with let them bringing their false religions into this country, we followed after their gods, and we were our idolatrous nation. And God has a right to judge this land. But those come out of her, my people, and do not partake in her sins, and do not partake in that judgment. The Russians know that most are where our powerful nuclear missiles are in America, and they will bombard them. And in the process, they will destroy the major cities, which I mentioned. There's a map that I have here that mentions at least 30 cities that were to be nuked first. So is this very sobering for some of you? Well, it was sobering for me. And I knew this for some time back, but I wasn't really for sure now would have been the right time or whenever. And I think that whenever would have been too late. So I'd rather just go ahead and publish this information now, and you make your own decision on what you need to do, because it is your life and the lives of your families. Because there is a way of starting over again, and living it might be a different life you can live, but it's a life that you can live and still keep living, and instead of being nuked in a city and then you'll be gone. I hope I said that right. Because I'm trying to get through to you guys, and but it's your choice whether you want to leave or not. And these are the main reactors, active, actually they're nuclear power plants, and these can be detonated. And you see these two here in Texas, Florida, in the New England states, around Illinois, and out west here in California and along the Pacific states. Okay, when they annihilate them, they're going to go by major populations. And the number one city is New York, because it does have the most people in it, and Los Angeles. It follows that. Chicago, Houston, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Arizona, San Antonio, Texas, San Diego, Dallas, Texas. So you've got 3 cities there in Texas. San Jose, Jacksonville, Florida, Indianapolis, San Francisco, California. So there's another California city. Austin, Texas, Columbus, Ohio, Fort Worth, Texas, Charlotte, I think it's North Carolina, Detroit, El Paso, Memphis, Baltimore, Boston, and so on. I'll leave a link to this because it gives lists of also metro areas in the millions, population in the millions, with New York at the top, and Los Angeles following that, and Chicago, Dallas, Fort Worth area, Houston, Texas, and all. Okay, I'm getting close. I might have to finish this in the third, because I was going to mention a little bit about ISIS, and what does that have to do with anything with what's going on in the Middle East. So I'll stop here, and I'll see you the next time. Y'all take care. Bye.